Morning, folks. Welcome to another daily devotional, and we're still on the sixth commandment: you shall not murder. This morning, I want to look at the subject from the point of view of what this commandment has to say about the lawful taking of other human lives. I said yesterday that it forbids the unlawful taking of human life. But there are times when it is lawful to take the life of another human being. For example, the Bible teaches that there are times when it is right to kill another human being, for example, in the exercise of capital punishment. It's a very controversial subject, and people get very passionate about it. But the fact of the matter is that, difficult though it may be to implement, the Bible nevertheless teaches that anyone who unlawfully takes the life of another human being should be punished by having their own life taken. In Genesis 9 and verse 6, God says the following. And before I read this, please note that this is in Genesis 9 and not in Exodus 20. In other words, this command is before the actual giving of the law at Sinai. God says, whoever sheds the blood of man, by man shall his blood be shed. Later on in Exodus 21 and verse 12, we read, anyone who strikes a man and kills him shall surely be put to death. Leviticus 24 and 17. If anyone takes the life of a human being, he must be put to death. In Romans 13 and verse 4, the Apostle Paul affirms the right of the civil authorities to rule and exercise justice against lawbreakers. Part of the exercising of justice included the right to put convicted murderers to death. He talks about them bearing the sword, a term that meant the administration of the death penalty. As I say, there has been a lot of debate and a lot of people have different views on this subject. But the reason why God in Genesis 9 says that whoever sheds man's blood, by man's blood shall be shed, God goes on to say, because in the image of God created he him. In other words, life, human life, is very precious because it is in the image of God, and anyone who dares to take a human life is, if you like, taking something of God. It is also biblically allowable to take a human life in the situation of a just war. War in and of itself is not immoral. God himself commanded Israel to go to war against various nations. There is, however, what we call a just war and an unjust war. Sometimes people go to war on grounds that are not justifiable. When a war is just and when it can be defended from a biblical point of view, particularly if you are defending your country against an aggressor, such circumstances mean that it is just for you to take the life of another human being. Despite the fact that many people were killed in the Second World War waged against Hitler's Nazi Germany, it was a just war. Millions were killed, but in all likelihood, millions more innocent people would have been killed if Hitler and his armies had not been opposed. It's difficult at times to know, in these days in which we live, when a war is just. But it is undoubtedly biblical that in a just war situation, it is right to take human life when necessary. The other situation in the Bible where it is right for us to take another human life is in a situation of self-defense. If someone attacks you or attacks a member of your family, and you are defending yourself against such an attack, and if in doing so you have to take the life of the other person who is threatening your life, then such a killing is in God's eyes just. So we see that this command, you shall not murder, or more accurately, you shall not kill unlawfully, includes premeditated murder, voluntary manslaughter, involuntary manslaughter, and the killing of an individual through carelessness. It does not include the killing by the government of those who are guilty of murder, in other words, the exercise of capital punishment. It does not include killing in a just war situation, and it does not include killing in a situation of self-defense. I trust that what we are learning about this commandment is proving to be helpful. May God bless our thoughts on this morning. Have a good day, folks.